Good afternoon. I'm Mark Allen, Director at Gaper.io, and I'm here today with Michael O'Connor, the CFO of Chameleon. Good afternoon, Michael.
Good afternoon, Mark. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Very well, very well. Trying to keep things together in these, kind of iffy times, but things are still going good.
Yeah, that's good. It's been very challenging. Basically, it's week 2 here in San Francisco. So,
Yeah.
Although people seem to be comfortable with Zoom now. That's nice.
Yeah, very true.
Took about a week. So why don't we start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm from Massachusetts, on the East Coast. I grew up a little bit west of Boston, and I originally studied economics.
Mm-hmm.
And I originally was in consulting, so I actually started in pharmaceutical consulting, and then I moved into SEO consulting, and kind of experiencing both of those realms. I was able to get a large amount of experience working with a wide range of companies from different sizes to different industries. And I quickly realized that I enjoyed kind of solving problems finding solutions to different problems.
Mm-hmm.
And what this kind of allowed was what now, like you said, I'm currently the CFO of Chameleon Solutions, that myself and 2 of my co-founders started that about 8 months ago now. And we kind of started it to be a problem-solving company that kind of could reach across industries and really play to the strengths of the 3 of us founders and all of our employees, whatever they do best. So that's kind of a quick synopsis of my background and what I'm doing now.
And is that the reason behind the name Chameleon? Because you
got it.
Colors as needed.
Exactly. Hit the nail on the head there. Exactly. We want to be able to blend into the colors of our clients and make sure that we're adaptable to fit the needs of really any problem necessary.
That's a good name. Cool.
Thank you.
What has been your experiences with remote employment, both as an employer and as an employee?
Yeah. So as an employee, when I originally started, this was some years ago in the pharmaceuticals industry and consulting, we were originally remote, essentially running remote consulting operations, working with IBM Watson Health in Boston, working with some companies in Chicago. So there was originally, my very first experience with remote was a while back when really it was kind of not quite unheard of, but it really wasn't common. And I definitely hadn't heard of it before really when I started working. So it was kind of a very interesting experience for, consulting / helping solve problems on that scale, working with different companies. Being able to do it remote was kind of a unique experience. And I think that actually helped me a lot, moving forward in other jobs. And then finally, here now at Chameleon, some of our operations are in offices, some of our operations are in remote. We have a wide variety of people across the country. And about half of our workforce is almost only remote. Sometimes we won't see them for a while, but we know they're doing a great job. So personally, having the experience of getting to work remote some years in the past, I think enabled me to have the trust and the confidence in remote work, in the processes, being able to trust people you're working with, being able to trust your employees. And I think that really helped now because, even recently, in the last couple of weeks now, remote work has gone from this really niche kind of thing to now everyone's talking about it, everyone's doing it really out of necessity. But I think it's an amazing testament to what it can accomplish and what people can accomplish even when they're not physically together.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I've been working remotely for over 10 years now, and
wow, yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
So, but obviously not everyone can do that. Not everyone can, depending on what you do for a living, remote is not possible. So, but luckily for me, it is. So what do you think is the future of remote employment, and what do you think can be done differently to make it better and more effective?
Yeah, I think really in even just the past couple of years, there's been a phenomenal kind of trend towards more integrated systems and kind of controls around work. And I guess to kind of put that into perspective, back when I first started remote working, we didn't use Slack, we didn't use Zoom, Skype was kind of still the thing and it was spotty, it wouldn't always work. It was not the best. There was a lot of challenges. And I think even just in the last couple of years, there have been incredibly innovative companies. There have been incredibly innovative software suites, but then also just mindset. So I think the combination recently of powerful softwares, like my company Chameleon, we use Slack, we use Zoom, we use Asana, Trello, task management from communication all across the spectrum of kind of activities. And then combining that with new methodologies and new mindsets. One thing that we kind of strive to work on is completely trusting the people that we're working with and the people who are working for us. Like trusting that they're actually getting the work done. It's kind of iffy. And I feel like especially in situations where companies recently that, have gone from the office environment to just the remote work environment, I've talked to managers and other entrepreneurs, and they're confused, like, how do I make sure people are actually doing the work? And it's just like, you got to trust your employees, which I think is so important in the first place. But now there's kind of a paradigm shift towards an absolute necessity of that. So I think in the future, we'll see even more of a trend towards finer tuned methodologies. I think especially there will most likely be softwares and tools that'll be industry specific. I mean, right now, you have Zoom, Slack, all the task management stuff are very kind of broad scoped, but I could see, industry task specific kind of software suites and even like platforms that integrate all of them together coming up in the future, because it's kind of a necessity at this point. And I think honestly, even after the virus calms down and things kind of go back to normal, I think that we've already crossed the bridge in that direction. And I think a lot of people will stay remote after they've experienced it.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see once we get out of this current situation, I think you're going to see working from home more common. I don't think it's going to be full time. I think it's going to be more like twice a week. And I think companies are going to realize, hey, I don't need to have this big office. I can maybe make it half the size and save on that. And it'll be quite interesting. I'm looking forward to see what happens like this summer, because that's really when it's going to hit.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the story behind Chameleon, and what's the journey been like?
Sure, yeah. So originally it started off, myself and the two co-founders, we had been planning on and thinking about starting a business for a few years prior. But we were kind of thinking we'd wait a little while. We'd kind of become more established in our industries. And we kind of found ourselves at a kind of juncture where we had been talking. We had essentially developed a business plan and what we wanted to do for a while. And we've been talking to other business owners and entrepreneurs and asking them what like the biggest friction points for them were. And we kind of settled on outsourcing, that so many companies have struggles when they have a project, whether it's a solution, whether it's a website, coming together with an app and a software, whether it's marketing coming together with social media operations, that when outsourcing, oftentimes companies will have to outsource to 2, 3, 4 more agencies. And having those communication structures between the agencies, if a design agency gets the logo wrong before they are able to put it out on the website, it'll delay the whole chain. And we found that there was a lot of pain points for a lot of companies out there that, when outsourcing large scale projects, it was very hard to kind of coordinate. And oftentimes the burden would fall back on the person themselves, the company themselves, to try and make a good situation out of all of it. And so we kind of set out to try and take all of the main agency models and put them in one place. And so that's kind of how Chameleon got its start as a full service solutions agency. So we really strive to be adaptable to what our clients' needs and to be able to have all of the kind of primary things you'd outsource in one spot, which isn't to say, we don't have every single thing you could ever want, but we have most of the main components. And then we also partner with companies. That we partner with a recruitment agency for full-time hires. We partner with a fintech company for financing and corporate credit cards. So we try and fill in the gaps of what we can't necessarily do because it's so niche, with partners kind of bring in those niche skills as well.
Cool. So you're kind of what we used to call the one throat to choke. Have you ever heard that?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's basically what you're doing. It's kind of like the general contractor.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. So in the current situation, due to the ongoing pandemic, many companies have been forced to go remote within literally the last just 2 weeks. What do you think have been the major roadblocks and challenges to people basically in March?
Yeah, it's ironic because so right now I'm in Denver, Colorado, kind of quarantined. And the reason why I'm here in the first place, I was originally visiting and now I'm kind of stuck. But we were all touring offices. We're planning on getting a brand new office space in downtown Denver. And now kind of offices are obsolete for a little while. So it's a cruel irony. But I think, the challenges that come out of it that have kind of arisen in the last couple of weeks for a lot of businesses, just talking to other business owners, talking to clients even, is number one, it's very hard if you're in any industry that is human interaction based in person. So like one of our clients is a sizable winery. And they thrive on weddings, on people actually coming into their tasting room, coming in and buying the wine. And that's incredibly difficult. And then to kind of tie into that situation where the human interaction, I think, like, kind of going into more what you were saying of the business problem is that, even in the winery sake where they can't attract customers, it's also just made exponentially more difficult because they can't be there together working on figure out problems to solve to get more customers. So it's a vicious cycle of learning on a moment's notice of, one, how do I attract the clientele? How do I keep my customers happy, while also knowing how to interact with each other as coworkers and try and move your businesses forward. And one of the things that we've been finding is that a lot of people just kind of are scared, they're confused, they don't know what's going on. And a lot of the times, people will panic and kind of start doing things in one direction. They'll start a remote work program without really like following through with it, making sure it's sound. And sometimes you can have these inefficient processes, you can have all sorts of things going on. And so one of the things that we're actually doing recently, we're partnering with a couple other companies, providing like webinars to, kind of promote how to do remote work, from everything from the methodologies and the software down to the day-to-day. I mean, it's important to, at least for me, I don't know about you, but for me, it's important where I have a spot in my residency where, it's got a desk, it's got my work zone. Like when I'm there, I'm in the work mindset. And, when I step away, I'm out of that, but I can go there and be in that work mindset. And I think a lot of people in the last couple of weeks, they've been working in an office for 5, 10, 30 years. And even just the physical space of where they've been, kind of that muscle memory of when you're there, you're in a working mindset. Yeah. It's taken away in a couple of weeks. It's unprecedented. And I think for a lot of people, it comes from, the collaborative aspects, but also the personal aspects of, what's your muscle memory? Where is your work mindset? Kind of figuring all that out.
Yeah, no, I agree. So as long as you brought it up, and since I'm in NorCal, are you able to give a plug for the winery you're dealing with?
So it's called Early Mountain Vineyards in Virginia, but it's a good one. It's not California, unfortunately, but it's a great winery.
Okay, well, I've never been to that one. I was wondering if I'd been there, and no, I haven't.
So they've got the #1 tasting room in the U.S. So definitely check them out. Yeah, fantastic.
Wow. That is interesting. I never would have guessed that the #1 tasting room in the U.S. would be in Virginia.
I know. I mean, honestly, me neither until I went there.
I would have thought Mondavi, but
that's beautiful. Mondavi is beautiful.
It is very nice. Yeah. So we could talk about that stuff for hours.
Oh yeah.
So there are companies like Gaper that help develop, build, and scale products, especially for startups like yourself. How important do you think such setups in the startup world will be for founders like yourself that need to hire people quickly and quality people especially?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely crucial because, especially now in this climate, startups, I can't imagine if I had myself and my partners had started Chameleon now. Like that would be crazy. Having the opportunity to work together for months now, and, now kind of having to shift things is one thing, but especially if you're a startup in this climate or, into the foreseeable future, I think it's absolutely crucial. Number one, being able to find quality hires is incredibly difficult if you don't have, physical connections, interpersonal connections. It's very hard to do on your own. And then in the situation where you can't physically meet with people, having those platforms, having those solutions built, I think it's absolutely critical.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm in the Bay Area and I talk to a number of startups and they all have the same problem. They can't find local talent. The kids out of Stanford and Berkeley, as soon as they graduate, they have multiple offers.
Yep.
So it's tough.
It's hard to compete with Google and Amazon,
Yeah, well, Google and Amazon, and I'm trying to think who else is here. Apple. I talked to a friend, a young lady today. She's applying at Apple right now.
Wow.
Right. Amazon has a big office here, even though they're based somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I live about 2 miles from Oracle.
Wow. Yeah.
Another big employer.
Big one. Yep.
And Twitter and Uber and all of them. Lyft, they're all here.
Yeah.
So, well, Michael, this has been great. Thank you for taking time to talk to me today, and hunker down and hopefully we'll be out of this soon.
Sounds good. Hopefully you stay healthy and stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for your time.
All right. Bye.